And between spring and summer, it's also important to take at least 2 weeks or so. Just try to get yourself to miss League of Legends. So when you come back, you kind of have the same drive, because by the end of the split, you're kind of always sick of it. Yeah, so basically my whole childhood, I was a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer at national level. So I was used to training really hard and competing for national champion and all of this stuff. First time I got competitive was, I guess, when I was 10 years old or 9 years old, because that's kind of the time when you start being exposed to the first competitions as a swimmer, at least in Romania. I won a couple of medals in some random events, so 9-year-old me was like, wow, this is cool, I kind of want more of this. I used to be a swimmer up until I was 18, and I was kind of always competing at the top of my age group and trying to win and all of this. The moment I stopped with competitive swimming, I kind of had a lot more time to allocate to league, because it was kind of my only hobby at the time, to say so, because all of a sudden I have 6 or 7 extra hours a day where I don't really get to do anything. And since I was so used to competing, I found in league kind of what I had from swimming, this ability or this potential to just get better. So I would say that it's just something that I grew up with. In a way, swimming is a solo sport and it's very physical. I would say it feels better than when you win in league. It's kind of primal in the sense that it's just, literally your body is stronger than his, so it feels nice. But at the same time, it's quite challenging because in league it's a team game. So I wasn't really used to this whole aspect of it, because even though you have your coach behind you and your swim partners and all of this stuff, it's not really a team. It's just more your by yourself. So it's similar in the sense that it's very competitive and you need to put a lot of time into it. But I feel with league, there's not really a point where you feel you reached the top of your level. While in swimming or traditional sports, you kind of get to a point where you're only improving by fractions of a second. So you're nearing perfection in that sense, So in league, I feel there is no limit to how good you can be. I would say every single year you experience some sort of burnout. Yeah, because the splits are so long. The main problem is the splits are so long, So it's when summer split starts or even spring split starts, it's 3 months of continuous grind. And at some point, depending on the patch or circumstances, you feel you don't really want to spend 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day playing league, If your usual mark is to play 12 to 14 hours of solo queue a day or league in total a day, if you go down to even 10 or 9 to 10 hours, that's still some sort of burnout because you're kind of not performing to your actual level. At that point, you kind of have to ask yourself, is it more important to try and push yourself a bit more and maybe reach a new height to how good you can play? Or is it more worth to kind of conserve that good level for a longer period of time, So there are times where if I'm feeling really burned out, usually for me, just taking one evening off of league, because we finish scrims at 6:30, let's say. Usually I'll play solo queue until 1 a.m. or so. But if I'm feeling really burned out or tired, burned out is kind of an extreme word, I would just not play solo queue for the rest of the evening, just kind of end my day at 7, and the next day I'm pretty much fresh, Doesn't really take a lot of time for me to kind of just stop the burnout. That's a new motivation boost because when you go to Worlds, you get to practice against the best teams. I haven't been there for 3 or 4 years, but every time I went there, it's like when you take a kid to the candy store, because I get to play against all the best players in the world. I still have this motivation to get better, and when you scrim against the same people for the whole year, you kind of start knowing everyone's style, their tendencies, how to exploit them, and so on. But when you go to Worlds, it's a whole different ballpark where everyone is new, and yeah, it's just the best environment to improve, and that's really fun. It was really hard because we all felt that we should have won that series and we didn't, so everyone was just really, really frustrated. And at the same time, it showed us that in the finals that all the problems we had throughout the split kind of resurfaced in the finals. So it was kind of this light bulb lighting up, when you're okay, this is serious. This is kind of what we had the whole split, and we were kind of not so aggressive in tackling these issues. We were always like, yeah, we can just do this, we can do that, you know. But it was serious, you know, because when you lose a finals like that, it's serious, especially when we lose it the way we lost, because we were kind of like ahead a lot of the games, most of the games. Yeah, but it kind of ignited this this fire in everyone, and the sense of like urgency, you know, that we should get better, we can't let the same thing happen again. And at the end of the day, I think it was like a good loss. As good as you can say that like you lost the final, it's a good thing. But I think it pushed us to get better, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Maybe our form like right now is not the greatest, but overall I think mentality-wise everyone benefited a lot from it. Right now we're struggling a bit. Not sure if it's like with the patch or with the meta, but I feel like there's been like some shifts in the meta where we didn't really adapt properly, and now we're kind of trying to get back to what we were good at. So yeah, I think most of our focus is just kind of doing things together and maybe just looking for like smaller objectives overall instead of like big wins, you know. I feel like today, for example, in game 5, we showed a lot of composure at the Elder Drake, because if I think about maybe a couple of weeks ago or like a month ago, we would just start the Drake. But today we kind of took small victory in everything. We were like happy when they were placing wards, and yeah, we were happy that like slowly but surely they're gonna start losing that fight, just because they can't like have set up for it, because they kind of lost all the tools. So I feel like just stuff like that is like the proper mentality we need to have.
Thanks for watching. For more gaming related content, subscribe to the Esports YouTube channel to stay up to date.